Before I even begin today, I want you to pause for a moment and think about this. Every single breakthrough in your life, every single turning point, started in one place: your mind. It didn't start with the money in your bank account. It didn't start with the connections you had, the degrees you earned, or the job title you carried. It started with a decision to think differently, a decision to see the world through a lens that others didn't dare to look through. I'm going to tell you something. The life you are living right now is not just the result of your circumstances, it's the result of your mindset. And if your mindset can create the life you have today, it can also create a completely different one tomorrow. That's how powerful it is. But here's the problem. Most people never question their mindset. They live their whole lives carrying the same old beliefs, the same old fears, the same old limitations, as if they were carved in stone. And then they wonder why nothing changes. If you've ever felt stuck, if you've ever wondered why no matter how hard you work, you keep hitting the same wall, I want you to know, it's not because you're not capable. It's because you've been trying to change your life without first changing the way you think. And that ends today. Because over the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through something that can completely transform the way you approach your goals, your relationships, your challenges, and your future. I'm not here to inspire you for just a moment. I'm here to give you a shift so deep that it becomes impossible for you to go back to the way things were. So I'm asking you, give me your focus, give me your presence. Don't just listen with your ears, listen with your mind. Because if you truly take in what I'm about to share, you won't just leave this room feeling motivated. You'll leave with the mental tools to completely rewrite the story of your life. When you start to truly understand that your thoughts are not just random bursts of imagination, but the architects of your reality, you begin to see how much power you've been holding all along. Everything you are living today, the opportunities you have, the challenges you face, even the way people respond to you, is filtered through the mindset you carry. Two people can face the exact same circumstance, and yet one sees a dead end while the other sees a doorway. The difference is not luck, it's not education, it's not resources, it's perception. And perception is born out of mindset. Think about the times in your life when something felt impossible, yet someone else found a way to make it work. What was different? They didn't have some magic formula. They just thought differently about the problem. Where others saw risk, they saw potential. Where others saw a reason to stop, they saw a reason to try harder. And that tiny shift in thought creates an entirely different chain of events. You see, your brain is constantly collecting evidence to support whatever you already believe. If you believe you're not capable, you will unconsciously search for proof that you're right. You'll notice every setback, every rejection, every time something didn't go your way, and you'll say to yourself, see, I knew it. But if you believe you're capable, you'll notice opportunities. You'll interpret challenges as stepping stones, not stop signs. And suddenly, the same world looks completely different. This is why some people can go through failure after failure and still rise stronger, while others give up after one or two setbacks. It's not about who is more talented. It's about who has trained their mind to see possibility where others see defeat. That's why changing your mindset isn't just a motivational idea. It's a survival skill for success. Heck, it's important to understand that your thoughts don't just affect your mood, they affect your actions, and your actions are what shape your reality. If your mindset tells you, this isn't possible, you won't even try. But if your mindset tells you, there's a way, and I'll find it, you will keep moving forward until you do. That persistence, that determination is what leads to breakthroughs. I want you to imagine walking into a dark room. If your mindset is negative, it's like walking in without a flashlight. You stumble, you hesitate, you assume there's danger ahead. But if your mindset is positive, it's like walking in with a powerful light. You can see clearly, you can navigate obstacles, you can find your way out. The room is the same, but your experience inside it is entirely different because of the light you bring. Now, here's the part most people miss. Mindset isn't fixed. It's not something you're born with that never changes. It's a choice you make every single day. Just like you choose what clothes to wear, you choose the thoughts you put on in the morning. The difference is most people are choosing without realizing it. They're replaying the same stories, the same doubts, the same fears they've been telling themselves for years. And every day they relive them, they reinforce them. That's why awareness is the first step. You have to start paying attention to the conversations you're having with yourself. What do you say when things get hard? Do you instantly think, this is too much, I can't do it? Or do you tell yourself, this is hard, but I'm resourceful enough to figure it out? One closes the door, the other opens it wider. Your reality will always expand or contract to fit the size of your thought. If you think small, your opportunities will shrink. If you think big, you'll start to notice possibilities that were invisible before. And the truth is, the possibilities were always there. Your mind just wasn't tuned to see them. The moment you start consciously shaping your thoughts, your life begins to follow a new path. You stop being reactive and start being intentional. You stop waiting for luck and start creating your own. And slowly, without even realizing it at first, the results in your life start to match the vision you've been holding in your mind. So the question is not whether mindset matters. The question is whether you're willing to take full responsibility for yours. Because once you do, there's no limit to what you can change, no limit to what you can build, and no limit to how far you can go. Your reality is waiting for you to decide what it's going to be. Every single one of us is carrying beliefs about who we are and what we're capable of. Some of those beliefs empower us, they push us forward, they give us the courage to take risks. But many of them quietly hold us back, and most of the time, we don't even realize they're there. These limiting beliefs are like invisible walls. Invisible walls. They don't physically stop us, but they convince us not to even try. They whisper, "You're not ready. You're not good enough. People like you don't do things like that." And if we listen long enough, we start to believe them as if they were facts. But here's the truth. Most of the beliefs you're living by are not facts at all. They're stories. Stories you've picked up from your childhood, from your environment, from your past experiences, or even from people who meant well but didn't see your full potential. Maybe someone once told you weren't smart enough. Maybe you failed at something and convinced yourself you'd never succeed in that area again. Maybe you grew up hearing things like, be realistic, but don't dream too big, or people like us can't have that kind of life. And without realizing it, you started building your choices around those beliefs. When you start replacing limiting beliefs with empowering ones, you're not pretending reality is different. You're creating a new reality. You're deciding that your past does not get to dictate your future. You're choosing to tell yourself a new story. A story where you are capable, where you are deserving, where you have what it takes to rise above whatever challenges you face. And here's what's amazing. The moment you shift the belief, your actions begin to follow. You start approaching opportunities differently. You start saying yes where you used to say no. You stop talking yourself out of things before you even start. I've seen people carry a belief for decades, one single belief, and the moment they replaced it, their entire life changed. That's how powerful the mind is. For example, if you believe that wealth is something only other people can have, you'll never take the steps to create financial freedom. You'll subconsciously sabotage every opportunity because deep down you don't see yourself as someone who can have it. But if you replace that belief with, I have the ability to create abundance, you start looking for ways to make it happen. You notice possibilities you would have ignored. You take actions you would have avoided. And suddenly, what felt impossible starts to feel inevitable. The same is true in relationships and health and career. If you believe you're unworthy of love, you'll either settle for less than you deserve, or you'll push people away before they can get too close. If you believe you can't be healthy because it runs in your family, you'll accept habits that keep you stuck. But the moment you change those beliefs to, I am worthy of deep, healthy love, or I have the power to take control of my health, you begin making choices that align with those truths. The challenge is that these limiting beliefs often feel comfortable because they've been with us for so long. They're familiar, and familiar feels safe, even if it's holding us back. So replacing them requires intention. It requires catching yourself in the moment and asking, is this belief helping me or hurting me? Is it opening doors or closing them? That kind of awareness takes practice, but it's the kind of practice that transforms everything. You have to be willing to be uncomfortable for a while. When you start telling yourself new, empowering beliefs, it might feel strange. Your mind might try to pull you back into old patterns because that's what it knows. But the more you reinforce the new belief, the more it becomes natural. And once it becomes natural, it becomes powerful. Think of it like updating the operating system on your phone. The old beliefs are like outdated software. Slow, limited, unable to handle the new possibilities. The new beliefs are the upgrade. Once you install them, everything runs differently. The apps, your actions, your habits, your results, suddenly work better because the system running them has changed. So many people spend their entire lives wishing for different outcomes without ever addressing the beliefs that are shaping their decisions. They think they need more motivation, more resources, more opportunities. In reality, what they need is a different set of beliefs guiding them. Because once you believe something is possible for you, you will naturally start doing the things required to make it happen. Your beliefs are the foundation of your reality. If that foundation is built on fear, doubt, and limitation, it will always feel shaky. But if it's built on confidence, worthiness, and possibility, it becomes unshakable. And when your foundation is strong, there is nothing you can't build on top of it. The future you want is waiting on the other side of the beliefs you're willing to let go of. One of the most powerful mindset shifts you can make is learning to see failure, not as a final verdict on your abilities, but as a teacher. For most people, failure feels like the end. It's the moment they decide they're not good enough, not talented enough, not lucky enough, and they walk away. But the truth is, failure is never the end, unless you choose to stop there. It's simply information, feedback that shows you what didn't work so you can get closer to what will. When you stop fearing failure, you free yourself to take the kind of risks that lead to breakthroughs. Because here's the reality. No one who has achieved anything extraordinary has done it without failing. Every successful person you admire has a long list of setbacks behind them, but they didn't let those moments define them. They used them as stepping stones. They looked at each failure and asked, what can I learn from this? How can I adjust? What's the next move? That's the difference between people who keep growing and people who give up. We're taught from an early age to avoid mistakes, to get everything right, to color inside the lines. But that conditioning is dangerous when it comes to real life. Because real growth is messy, it's unpredictable. You try, you adjust, you try again. That's the process. And if you're not failing at all, it probably means you're playing too small. You're staying in the safe zone where nothing challenges you, but also nothing changes you. It's easy to take failure personally, to believe it's a reflection of your worth. But failure is never about who you are. It's about what you did, and what you did can always be changed, refined, improved. When you separate your identity from your mistakes, you gain the ability to see them objectively. Instead of thinking, I failed, so I'm a failure, you start thinking, that approach didn't work, so I'll try a new one. That shift in language changes everything. I want you to think about the first time you learned to ride a bike. You didn't get on and ride perfectly the first time. You wobbled, you lost your balance, you fell. And every time you fell, you learned something, how to steady yourself, how to turn without tipping, how to keep moving forward. You didn't quit because you understood that falling was part of the process. But somewhere along the way, we grow up and forget that truth. We start expecting perfection from the very first try, and when we don't get it, we decide it's not for us. The most dangerous thing about fearing failure is that it keeps you from even starting. You tell yourself you'll wait until you're ready, until you have more experience, until you know everything there is to know. But readiness is a myth. The truth is, you become ready by starting, by trying, by failing, and by learning. If you wait for the perfect moment, you'll be waiting forever. Some of the most valuable lessons you will ever learn will come from moments that didn't go the way you planned. Failure teaches resilience. It teaches problem solving. It forces you to develop patience, humility, and adaptability. It strips away the illusion that you have to be perfect, and it shows you that progress is built on persistence. When you embrace failure as a teacher, you stop being afraid of it. You start taking bolder steps. You allow yourself to test ideas, to explore possibilities, to push your limits. You realize that the worst thing that can happen isn't failing. It's staying exactly where you are because you were too afraid to try. Here's something else to remember. Failure is often a sign that you're moving in the right direction. It means you're stretching yourself beyond what's comfortable. It means you're not just repeating what you already know how to do. You're reaching for something bigger. And yes, sometimes that reach will fall short, but every reach builds strength, every attempt sharpens your skills, And eventually, the same thing that once seemed out of reach becomes second nature. So the next time you fail, don't rush to cover it up or pretend it didn't happen. Sit with it. Ask yourself what it's trying to teach you. Extract the lesson and then use it. Because once you've learned from it, that failure has already started working in your favor. It's no longer something that happened to you. It's something that happened for you. You can either let failure be the story of why you stopped, or you can let it be the story of why you succeeded. The choice will always be yours. A mindset shift isn't something that happens in a single moment and then stays with you forever. It's not like flipping a switch and expecting the light to stay on without power. Your mind is influenced by what you feed it daily. The conversations you have, the information you consume, the people you spend time with, and even the words you speak to yourself. If you want your mindset to stay aligned with your goals, you have to treat it like a muscle. And like any muscle, it gets stronger through consistent training. This is where most people fall short. They hear a powerful idea, they get inspired for a moment, and they feel ready to take on the world. But within a few days, sometimes even hours, the old thoughts creep back in. The doubts, the fears, the self-sabotaging patterns. Not because they're weak, but because they haven't built the habit of protecting and reinforcing the mindset they want. A single moment of clarity is the spark, but what keeps the fire burning is the daily work. It's about setting non-negotiables for your mental state. That could mean starting your mornings with gratitude, so you set the tone for the day. It could mean writing down your goals and visualizing yourself achieving them until it feels real. It could mean reading books, listening to empowering voices, or surrounding yourself with people who challenge you to think bigger. The key is to intentionally design the environment your mind lives in. Because if you don't, the world will design it for you, and it won't always be in your favor. When you make a commitment to daily mental reprogramming, you're essentially telling yourself, I'm in control of my thoughts. I decide what I focus on. I choose the narrative. And the more you practice that, the more natural it becomes. It's like carving a new path in the forest. At first, it's hard to see where you're going. You have to push through the brush and create the way. But the more you walk that path, the clearer it gets, and eventually it becomes the obvious route. That's what happens when you reinforce a new mindset daily. It becomes your default way of thinking. Consistency also matters because life will constantly test your mindset. There will be days when things don't go your way, when people doubt you, when plans fall apart. In those moments, if you haven't built the habit of controlling your thoughts, you'll slip back into old ways of thinking. But if you've trained your mind daily, you'll have the strength to respond differently. You won't crumble at the first sign of trouble because you've conditioned yourself to see challenges as temporary, not permanent. Think of an athlete preparing for a championship. They don't just train when it's convenient. They train on the good days and the bad days. They train when they feel motivated and when they don't. Because they know that when the pressure is on, they'll fall back on their training. Your mindset works the same way. If you've trained it daily, then in moments of stress, you'll fall back on strength, not weakness. Can't rely on motivation alone. Motivation is fleeting. It's like a burst of energy that can push you for a while, but it won't carry you through every obstacle. Discipline is what carries you. Routine is what carries you. Those daily actions you commit to, even when you don't feel like it, are what create lasting change. And don't underestimate the power of small, consistent actions. You don't need to completely transform your life overnight. You just need to commit to doing something every single day that strengthens your mindset. That could be as simple as replacing one negative thought with a positive one, as simple as reminding yourself of one thing you're capable of, as simple as taking one step toward your goal. Over time, those small actions compound, and what once felt like effort becomes who you are. The truth is, you are either training your mind every day to serve you or training it unintentionally to limit you. And the difference comes down to whether you choose your thoughts or let them choose you. This is not a one-time choice. It's a daily decision. If you want a mindset shift to last, you can't treat it like a single event. You have to treat it like a lifestyle. A commitment to showing up for yourself every day, even when it's not easy, even when no one's watching, even when you feel like quitting. Because the life you're building depends on the mindset you're maintaining. Your mind is your greatest asset, but only if you train it to be.